price is going to be, I mean, let's see. Well, yeah, we can leave that there.
Okay, I started the recording. Gary and I are creating a art object contract, creating an art object in Rolang. And let me just change the, where is it? Change settings. And I'll just make this a little bigger.
Yeah, that's better.
We create the unforgeable name art object, and we have we're basically going to build a contract to make a new art object, or to instantiate an art object. Okay. We could have other operations, and why don't we assume that we will, and we'll make this explicitly a new operation, and that way the name art object can have many different functions. And we oops. I guess we need to make that a name. As we receive names, send processes. Okay, a certificate of authenticity. Okay, well, that's another object we have to define. It's going to have certain fields, certain. It's going to have a contract that's going to have a new operation that allows us to create a new certificate of authenticity, and we'll have developed the behavior for the certificate of authenticity. Right now, for the purposes of testing this, I can just pass a string.
Yeah.
Okay. And it can be like it can be a structure. It can be a map, actually. I can pass a map in there. That would be a good way. So I could have all the metadata about it, like the hash of the piece of art. So it's basically the identity for any digital art is its hash. And that would be one of the things we wanted here. As well, things signed by the author, by the artist. That gives authenticity to it. Okay, the owner, I probably shouldn't have put in here yet because I don't know what's that's going to be. I mean, we could just put in person's Discord handle for now. But this is probably a proxy object, like a U-port identity, or in any case, some object that supports the ERC 725 and 35 interface or an identity. And then we have the resale contract, which is really controls how we buy and sell this. And we want to have that work with the non-fungible token, which is really what this art should be, is a non-fungible token.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You know, if we back up a bit and say we don't want to sell an art object, we want to sell a non-fungible token.
Well, that's the proxy for the actual object.
Yeah, right.
Interesting.
But you know that all these CryptoKitty-like projects, that's all they do is sell the non-fungible token. Because all their art exists on the blockchain, I believe, doesn't it?
Who are you talking about?
CryptoKitties.
Oh, yeah. So they define the interface here in Solidity. And there are certain events that occur, which we need. I guess we need an event. We need an event pattern in Rollback.
An event what?
We need an event pattern in Rollback.
Pattern, okay.
Okay, how do we handle it when one of these events happens? Okay, so we have the functionality. Okay, and then we have functions. Save, transfer from. And then it has a payable. Oh boy. We need what is this token ID? Oh. I don't know. There's a lot of work here, Gary. I think.
What should I be studying? That page that you just had up there?
Well, that's the non-fungible token standard, the ERC 721.
Okay.
Okay, those are okay, and I guess the issues in how we handle payments is where we have weakness right now, which is why we need somebody like Thomas Love on the call, or not. So that they can handle the issues of of handling the money transfer and such. And it's we have I guess we have to understand what I guess we really need to understand the 721.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. That looked to be, the meat and potatoes of this project right there.
Yeah, that's I was sort of hoping somebody would come in who already knows, but they probably don't know.
Exactly.
We probably need to find some good. I mean, there's probably some good videos.
Okay, ER 721. I will. That'll be what I do next.
And I think anybody who's going to work on the art thing has to know basically about ERC 721, and I guess there's an ER721.org or something.
Now we're not going to use. I mean, we're just going to use ERC 721 as a model, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an interface that we want. We want the equivalent functionality
for our
okay,
chain.
So in some cases, we can just use the interface as it is. It has a name of a function, which looks like is a contract name. Okay, and then it has arguments. What does it take? Right. And then what does it return? What do you end up? What do you get back? Right. So if we take each of the ERC 721 functions and write them in Rolang, okay, then we will have a token. But there are differences between.
Understood. Yeah.
I mean, there's implementations of 721 for Ethereum, and we could look at those, but they may confuse us more than they help us.
That's what I'm thinking.
We care how it's implemented. We care what function it performs.
So basically, what we're building is an RRC 721 Rolang.
Yeah. Rolang ERC 721.
And I'm guessing somewhere in there, our chain 721 is going to diverge from ERC 721.
Yeah.
But I am going to watch some. I pulled up ERC 721 tutorial on YouTube, and there's a lot of interesting videos to watch. I mean, there's a lot that are about CryptoKitties, but I think there's some short descriptions of how they work that should be helpful.
Yeah, there's this.
Do we need to create a channel on Discord called ERC 721, or are we there yet?
I think our channel is fine for that.
Okay.
Maybe, I mean, there's, it'll probably, end up somewhere. I mean, we have a bunch of ERCs to go through. So what did I do? I closed the, I didn't post the recording.
It wasn't on my end, it was on their end.
Oh, I guess I missed the problem. By the time I logged in, it was okay.
Yeah, I didn't see the problem. It could have been regional.
Oh, yeah.
So how's it going, Dan? What you been up to?
Be right back.
Are you there, Dan? Now we have two Dans.
I'll take two to roll.
Hello. Having connection issues this morning?
Well, the Discord issue was on the other end.
Yeah.
They were having all kinds. Anyway. Their monitoring doodad showed that their API was hosed and that their Twitter feed was like, "Oh, sorry about it."
So yeah, so we've been looking at creating the art object on Rolang. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? A Monty implementation in OCaml. Yeah.
Have to remind me what Monty is.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Yeah, basically, just to close off the art object, basically we decided we have to learn, get ourselves smart on the ERC 721 interface, and so that we can develop a similar interface on our chain or in Rolang. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not.
721 is about non-fungible tokens, non-fungible.
That's it. Okay, and then there's 1155, which, I mean, there's related standards. And that actually gets into the issue of how you execute code that's signed by somebody else. What's that? The 1170. EIP 1170. That's something that's down the road. We're not there yet.
Yeah, all that stuff tends to be backwards ass as far as I can tell.
It's backwards what?
Backwards ass. They you can't do object capabilities on the what's their EVM or whatever. So they have to do all these inside out backwards access control lists.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Right, and the same basic functionality is needed, right? And we have to expose the same kind of functionality as these interfaces expose.
Right. Well, at least, yeah, the functionality, right.
So by next week, we'll be experts in 721. Maybe we can propose something for our change. Okay, go ahead.
Where does one stay tuned for arts crap stuff?
I'm sorry? Yeah.
If one wanted to stay tuned to art stuff, where would one stay tuned?
There's the blockchain art channel in Colab. Oh, you mean outside in the real world?
No, I'm not seeing blockchain art, whatever the heck. Have I got it muted or something? What did I do?
In the Colab Discord, there's a blockchain art. But Dan, we want to invite you to the main headquarters of our operation on Keybase.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I've been kind of bad in keeping up in Keybase.
Okay, and if one wants to just browse with a regular web browser, do you guys have web pages?
For what?
For the art stuff?
No.
No.
All we've got is files right now. But here, let me.
Files work pretty good on the web. Let me know when you've got web pages.
Yeah, but I want you to join our channel. Would you like to join our Keybase channel?
No, I don't want to do real low latency stuff where I have to watch minute to minute. I want to tune in like once a week or something and get a summary of everything that's going on.
All right.
That sucks for that.
All right.
I mean, isn't that what the channels in Keybase are?
No, the Keybase chat channels are chat, which are fine if you want to do, 20-second latency kind of interactions. But if you want to do 1 week latency interactions, they suck. Right?
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But while I've got the screen open, I'll just show you what we've got here. We've got our rolling art on the blockchain channel, and in it we've done some. So you're right. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and so there's more here than you can get once a week.
Okay, well, let's have some fun here. Because this relates to communications channels and organizing them around the ArtChain community, which the October 24th meeting gives us a potential chance to reboot that. So you guys are off in your own little world doing great stuff, and you'd like to enlarge your community. And so a lot of people that don't want to tune in every 20 seconds. So you need a web page. Well, at least I think you would be well served with a web page. I could go get my slides on that kind of stuff, but we'll presume the background for now. All right, so
there's couple of wikis around, right? We should be able to use one of those.
Yeah, a wiki is almost certainly really good. Is there a nearby wiki, Jim?
Well, the Rolang.org is down right now. That was the media wiki. Yeah,
that one is like several failure modes in there. Okay, so the two hosting services that I enjoy these days are Netlify and GitHub.
Right.
So is art on the web fit in the ArtChain community world?
ArtChain what? What?
Okay, there's an ArtChain community organization in GitHub. Here, I'll stick that here.
Yes. Yes, we have, I think I have, I'm in that group now.
Right. Okay, so we could make a new repository. We could write on one of the existing ones. I think making a new one is more straightforward than writing the existing ones. Jim, are you in the mood to make one?
Sure, yes. What am I going to, I'm going to go to ArtChain community.
Yep.
And I'm going to
Big green new button. There you go.
big green new button.
All right.
And we're going to call this what? Not make it make one for the non-fungible token.
I was thinking something about this art community.
Art. So let's say okay, well, it's art. I'm tempted to make it art objects.
You could do art-AOTB, because AOTB is a name you're already using, but who the heck, you know, if you're outside that community, you don't know that. So the word art might get the attention of artists. All right, and then if you want, you can make a description. Okay, go ahead and make that. Just hit new and hit go or whatever.
Yeah, let me just.
Cool.
And let's just make this. We can argue about that later.
Yep.
Objects on the blockchain. And I create. I didn't make a README.
Right, but at this point we can all collaborate. At least, let's see.
Okay, so basically, we want. Okay, so.
Your first job is to get yourself out of the way. So you need to make it so that Gary can write to it. So add teams and collaborators is pretty good. That green button is there. I don't know if he's an ArtChain community admin or whatever. I think I am, so I think I can already do the relevant stuff.
And, okay, so no teams have been given access to this repository.
I don't know if it's worth making up a team. The collaborators thing is what I usually use.
Search.
Okay.
So we can have see Casey.
I think I'm an admin, so it doesn't matter, but that's fine. I was more thinking of Gary, but
now when I hit this is just adding one collaborator at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're already in because you're an admin.
Right.
Now, Gary's not going to work. He's entropy, right? Or is the time will appear? Gary? Oh, where's Gary? Gary's gone?
Yeah, Gary's gone. What the heck?
How do we lose Gary? That's weird. Huh. All right. Well, so we created this. I guess we need a README, right?
Well, I was going to interview Gary and write down what he says.
Yeah. I don't know. He didn't even. I don't think we even have anything in the chat. I know he.
Let me see if I can reach him in Keybase. I'm having trouble.
He suddenly ran out of power a few days ago. It may have happened again. He ignored the warning. The power was low.
Something's weird with my Keybase. What if I stop it here? Quick Keybase. I was thinking that it might be nice to bootstrap a social network using Keybase at the Archain meeting, but Keybase is necessarily public, I think. So that's a little awkward.
Keybase, I mean, records identity on the blockchain, so any proofs there are public. But I think it's like more than 2/3 of the identities on Keybase are anonymous.
Say that again?
2/3 or 3/4 of the accounts on Keybase are anonymous in that, I mean, they're a public key. They have a public key, but they don't have anything that's personally identified.
Oh, I see. So you could create a pseudonym there.
Right. And then, you know, I mean, you get people to trust it, you have to have some kind of proof off out of band that's not public. Like, you could have a proof that you're a member of the Archain Co-op
Right.
without revealing which member you are.
Yeah, we could bootstrap it a decentralized way. We could say, well, if there's these 3 people, and I pretty much trust them on who's a member of the co-op.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, the co-op officially has.
Yeah, but then you have to go through ION, and life gets no fun. The centralized resources in Archain are strapped somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
life has changed. Last time I tried.
It's easier for, you know, a bigger organization to get trusted by the Federation, which is what you ultimately need in order to use your identities for, you know, government work.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
Okay, so art on the web is maybe a bust. I have paged Gary on Keybase, but I could reproduce the same process using maybe the governance group.
yeah, I mean, you were going to show us the language you were working on too. I don't know what.
Well, you asked me what I'm working on. I told you. I didn't, you know. I can go there if you want me to. What the heck, Dylan? Just a minute. Come on. Just simmer down.
Well, you know, we expect to be amazed a little at what Dan's into on a Saturday morning, right?
Okay. So let's see. The high touch way to do this would be for you to try to reproduce my results. I wonder what that costs.
Oh boy, I don't think I'm probably not up to that. What?
Okay.
I think you just.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. So we created an Archain community GitHub repository for called ARC-AOTB, and
so I was going to interview you, Gary.
Oh, okay.
So let's see. I go here. Let's see. There's an add file button somewhere. Let's see. We were right. We were going to add you so that you do your own stuff for one thing. Hold on. Collaborators. Okay. Do you have a GitHub account?
Yeah, Entropy. spelled with 2 E's on the end.
Like that?
Yeah.
Add collaborator. It defaults to right, which is a little bit weird, but that's appropriate in this case. Okay, so if you want, you can do that. Let's see, is this going to create a README file here? Yes, it just does. Okay. So, Gary, you said that there's a Keybase thingamabob. What did I do with my Keybase?
Yeah.
How does I chat? Okay. How do I bookmark you?
Bookmark Gary Coulter or the
You want to hit
channel?
follow back, I think. That makes it.
No, I just want to make a link to Gary from here, and like Gary's.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, there is a URL that will always take you to that profile. Let's see. Let me figure out how to get that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so that's something to have.
Oh, yeah, cool.
I get the wrong wiki syntax. That's annoying, but. All right, tell me what else is going on. I guess, here, you show your screen. Is that straightforward?
Yeah.
Stop share. You show your screen and I'll take notes.
Okay. Here we are in the AOTB, Rolang AOTB general channel, which the general is the default channel for when you create a team. You always get a default channel, and then we create other teams. So here we are in the Rolang general channel, but that's not where the Art on the Blockchain people are. We're here in blockchain art. No, that's not right. I'm sorry. We're here in Rolang AOTB. So here's our team with all the members of the team so far. And if you want to go in and if you want to see the sub teams, here they are: Rolang AOTB logs and Rolang AOTB testing. So we can go into the logs right quick and see what they are. This is just an experiment to stream, to catch every message that I have access to and put a record of it in the logs. And again, this is overkill, but you know, I just wanted to show how easy that was to do with a little 3-line script. And we
Keybase messages?
Huh?
Those are Keybase messages?
Yes, those are
okay.
All Keybase messages that I have access to. I mean, and this brings up the question, should I be posting messages from private channels here in this channel? I'm still thinking about that. We could turn this off at any time if it's problematic, but okay, so back to the discussion. Rolang AOTB general is the big one.
Yeah, if people who aren't a member of that log channel are not going to see.
Yeah, you have to actively add yourself to the channel, but anybody in AOTB can get into AOTB logs.
Okay.
Or that's the intention. I'm not sure if we have it set up exactly that way now. What else can I tell you? Okay, in the test channel, that's pretty obvious what that is. It's just a test channel.
Does the AOTB team have a URL? Do you know? Let's see. I'm looking at your web page here.
Yeah, AOTB team have a web page. I can add it to.
Well, no, there's on your profile. There's a list of teams here.
Let me make sure I've got it. View team. Settings. Publish your own team profile. Okay, there you go. That's what I want to do. Allow non-team. Allow publish. We'll publish it on Keybase popular team. Make this an open team. No. And I do want to allow request to join the team. So if we save that, it should be on my profile page.
There we go. Okay.
Is it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it has a web page. And now, if you edit your profile, can you make a pointer to this GitHub thing that we're doing?
Not sure about that. Would that be an identity? All I can add up there is teams I'm members of and identities.
No, I don't want you to edit your profile. I want you to edit the team, something about the team.
Okay, let me think about that.
So click on that team there. There you go. Settings. Oh, that's it. What? Hold on, I got a thing in the way over here. What's the? There's on the top right. There's a dot 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 menu.
And I can't see it. Create sub-team, lead team, manage chat.
What's open folder? I guess the team has files.
Yeah. There is our the folder is empty, it says. Let's back up a bit. That's the team folder. Oh yeah, that's the team folder.
Huh, I wonder if you could use that for web publishing, but anyway.
Oh yeah, you can do that. How does that work? Oh, I've done that before. So if I go to my own files, and if I go to my public files, Gary Coulter's public files, there's my Starry Plow, which is our avatar for the project. Now I can publish that here. And there's my flag. Why it's not getting unfurled? It used to get unfurled, but I can click on it, and I think I can. There it is. Okay. I think it was going to unfurl anyway, but so there's the way we can put a web page up. But they're just files, and we get all this Keybase information about the files. Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
And go back to the.
I don't know if we made it a .html file and show it as a web page.
Oh yeah. How do I do that? How can I upload one real quick? Why did it not go back to? I just want to go back to Keybase here. So if I upload an HTML file there, I need an HTML file. Why didn't that open? There it is. Ah! I need an HTML file. How do I search for search downloads?
All right, maybe we should leave publishing via that mechanism for another day. It doesn't look like it's the smoothest user interface.
No. Okay. What else can I show you? See, there's all. Oh, Go ahead.
We have the Discord channel. I don't know if we want to.
Okay, well, hold on just a sec. So
And
let me do some standard interview question stuff. Okay, so when did this start?
Oh, good idea. Let's go back to chat. Go back to AOTB. Let's go into the chat, and we can look exactly at the top message on that.
Yeah, meanwhile, in your brain, is there like an event that like, oh, gee, this is why we kicked it off and stuff?
The Keybase part, or when we kicked it off in
Let's start on the web stuff, or on the blockchain stuff.
okay, that was actually kicked off in Discord over here in our channel, Blockchain Art.
yeah.
Okay.
This was you know, I met Eric at the NYU workshop
That's the more of the kind of thing I was after.
in New York. That was the
But it seemed like we started, Eric came and joined several discussions, and like 3 weeks in, we decided, after he had been here 3 weeks, we decided to do this Art on the Blockchain project. So on looks like on July 15th, 2019, we started the channel. Jim opened the channel.
Okay, all right, I might ask you about the workshop at some point. Okay, so, and what are the rhythms? How often do people, you know, do you get together, is there a rhythm to it, like a weekly or a monthly thing? Or
Yeah, we have a weekly meeting on Mondays at, I'll pull up the calendar. Okay, that's ArtChain calendar, and so so the Blockchain Art is 10 a.m. Pacific time on Mondays.
Can you drop that calendar URL somewhere?
Yeah. Okay, how do I put that in the Zoom chat? So that would be here.
don't you have that added to your Google Calendar, Gary?
Yeah, it's on my Google Calendar. Do you want to see it there?
No, I want the URL. I want the web, people, the web, okay? We're building a web page here so that somebody else can get the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go back to share. What else?
I'm losing on the chat somehow. Hold on, sorry. What's going on? That was weird. Chat. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, and then the other thing that you referred to, that Colab channel. Okay, I'm going to let, can you, oh well, it's possible to link to those things too, but I'll leave that for now. Maybe somebody else can fix that up.
Yeah. Files, teams, wallets.
Okay, so the NYU workshop, what if I wanted to find that?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I'll stop sharing.
No, don't. Not yet, Gary. Because we're going back and forth between technical stuff and less technical stuff, and I'm trying to focus more on less technical stuff, but I'm not doing very well. So
started at the ITP camp, NYU ITP camp, which
okay. just for a second here, let's try without computers for a sec. So what do you remember, Jim, about meeting Eric at the workshop?
Well, I guess he attended our presentation that on the social ledger. And I put the link in to the camp. Let's see, who else? I guess it was mostly Dig Life people involved. And Johnny Dabrowski and
Johnny's a key base.
Raymond Powell and
Okay, so names are going to be useful at some point, but surely Eric had some story to tell. There was some story that you both resonated to. People with art can't do X.
People with art can't easily get royalties from resales of their object.
well, that's part of it. I mean, it's more than that. Eric is known as the blockchain artist because he sees the nature of art is changing, and I guess we should have his website. Stuff.
Well, Gary answered it the way I wanted it to. One sentence that human beings walking down the street can understand. People with art can't easily get royalty from resale of their objects.
And,
that's the kind of it.
And art now includes contracts on the blockchain or something like that. I don't know. Today, art includes even contracts on the blockchain.
Okay, I think that's going to sound like space gunk to most people. You know what I mean? I don't think that's evocative, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it has to do with, art sort of being a community contract in the community. But we can leave it for now. We can let Eric come in and say what he wants to say.
Well, no, I'm interviewing you guys. But so I was looking for a story in the, bumper sticker style that resonated between the two of you. And it sounds like Gary and Eric both would say people with art can't get royalties from resale of their objects.
Yeah, and that's kind of our primary goal is to enable the first resale of an art object and to return to the creator of the art object 15% of any of the value of the price of the object above the original sale price. So that guarantees that the owner, the secondary owner, will get it at least his, he'll get his money back if he wants it, and then he can get 85% of any increase in sale he is able to pull off.
Yeah, that's an example of a contract on art, but it's not the kind of generative art that he's it doesn't lead into that. This is a statement that he made about what he's doing, what he wanted to answer. How do we think about the future of digital property and tie it to the process of cultural production? That was the quote that I grabbed from the start of the channel.
Hold on. Oh, there it is. All right. So yeah, things that people say at the beginning are useful. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit of history. And then if somebody wanted to tune in, Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific is the next time, the scheduled event. Oh, there you go. Eric Berry, blah, 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 blah. I was going to look that up at some point. I better save what I've got here.
You know, and one thing I would like to add to this is our ultimate goal is to have a base of operations on Dig Life as well. Would you like to see our channel over there and put that in the GitHub repository?
Yeah, okay, again, we're talking about mechanics here. I don't think having a presence on GitHub, Dig Life or whatever is the goal. The goal is something about art, right?
Okay, all right.
I mean, that's a means to the end. That's one goal. Eric Berry Drayson, bio.
Yeah, he's got a whole document that we use as our model in that Discord channel.
Is that straightforward to get from his homepage?
Yeah, I think so. It's also a direct link to it is also in the Discord channel.
To what?
I'm somehow not able to get to that Discord channel. I've got some kind of technical difficulty. I don't know if I muted it or something on accident.
Yeah, but you should see it.
Yeah, but I don't. So can we not worry about that for now?
Yes, we cannot.
Okay. If you have, I guess the Zoom chat is working. You want to paste the document there?
Yeah, let me find it.
Yeah, the distributed object framework.
Okay, this is important. I'm going to click on this one. Distributed art object framework on Medium. You want that link?
I do.
On his site, it's version 1.2.2, version 0.1.2.
I'm looking at his homepage. I don't see anything about version 0.2. Where do I go from his homepage?
You see distributed object framework is the top left box on my screen.
Oh, there it is. Good morning. Okay. And
So you
doesn't have a date. Interesting.
okay. This may be distributed object framework outline.
Right.
Version 1. I don't know where he's updated his.
I wish people would put dates next to version numbers.
Okay, what else is there in the Discord chat? Yeah, at first we were, I mean, sometime we're going to go to IPFS, but right now we're just going to use KBFS since we have access to it.
Looks like you're using Google Docs. There was some Medium article that I missed in there.
Okay, I'll get that link again. I'm sorry, I had it.
No. I was trying to get you to not focus on computers, but it's okay.
Oh.
There's a search button up there.
What are we looking for?
Medium, I thought.
I had that. I thought you didn't want that. Okay, I'll go back and get that. that's not it.
I mean, yeah, it might be the same thing, but I can't tell yet.
That's Google Documents.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't want the Google Doc. You want the Discord, Medium. Okay, got it. Oh, there it is. We got the 1.2 now.
August 15th. I have a date too.
Okay.
So, was this document around, to the best of your knowledge, in when you met him at the NYU thing?
Yeah, he had an early version of this.
Can you paste the link there?
I put this link in the Zoom chat.
Oh, good morning. I did Zoom chat. Sorry.
This is the last one I pasted into the Zoom chat.
Okay.
Oh, see, he just put version 1.2 on top of version 1.1 or 1.1.
That's weird.
Okay, so let's look at the story as told by this document. Does Medium tell us how many people have read this at all? Anyway.
Got 7 claps. No, I don't think it's got.
Okay, 7 claps is kind of the sort of thing I was asking about. Yeah, there it is. How do we think about the future of digital property and tie it to the process of cultural production? Can we create digital economies that aren't subject to a speculative market? Why would you want to do that? Platform cooperative, I see. He doesn't want people speculating on the art? I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, I'm fuzzy about that as well.
The main thing was, I mean, all these projects create tokens, and people were speculating on the tokens, and he got really bent out of shape about that. It wasn't about the art; it was about the tokens.
Oh yeah. And we're kind of addressing that by using open money internally, but that doesn't really address the speculative market, I guess.
Is there some reason not to use Lumen?
That's what we're doing now. Well, yeah, I mean, Lumen is money on Keybase. But
I thought you just said, isn't open money a technology that's distinct from Lumen?
Yes.
Okay, are we using open money or Lumen, or both?
We're using open money internally.
Yeah, open money is for teams and groups and organizations. Open money builds from the bottom up.
It's community currency.
Top down, right?
Okay.
It's a circular money. It's mutual credit.
Yeah, we can pay. We can do things with Lumen, but internally we'll translate everything. We'll probably translate most things to. We're going to call it AOTB coin.
Okay.
When you cash out, you get something like Lumen.
Right. Lumen can stand for other things, by the way, so we might look into that too.
Yeah.
Lumen's about sort of moving other things around as far. Oh, maybe, yeah. I might be getting my projects mixed up.
No, I think you're exactly right. Let's go. I can jump to Keybase right quick and show you on my wallet these transactions.
You're showing the whole world your wallet. Is that what you want to do?
I don't care. What
Okay.
I mean, what? Okay, so you're seeing. Look here. So it converts it immediately into dollars, but I think there should be some transfers in here. Ah, I played around with that idea that you're talking about now, and what's going on with this thing? Can't get it to stop. Oh well.
And
Let's change this up. What, Jim?
and there's this sort of between this is sort of between our chain and Dig Life. Now, Dig Life is looking at being part of the DAO associated with Seeds. Have you looked at the Seeds project at all, Dan? Join Seeds. What is it? Join Seeds.
I can't do anything right now. My cursor is just spinning.
If you want, I can start sharing.
I'm gonna stop sharing now. You see why I couldn't do anything anymore. Yeah, it's still spinning. I think Keybase may be having a problem right now. Keybase is not responding, is what I'm saying.
All right.
I'm going to close Keybase, or I'm going to wait for it to respond.
Maybe you should look at your system monitor. You have a million tabs open somewhere?
Oh, I do, yeah, always. Yeah, I'm going to close Keybase is what I'm going to have to do.
Okay. What was that?
Yeah, I guess the other important thing is the
Can we?
the artist contract based on the
Well, let's suppose anything that's really, really important you must have mentioned in the first little bit, and let's turn the corner to polishing this just a little bit so that we wouldn't be embarrassed to show it to somebody.
all right.
Okay, so let's see. Did you give me something about the workshop?
Yeah, there's a URL up there somewhere which ends in 2019. itp.nyu. 2019. And I'm going back to New York for the platform cooperative conference.
Wow, the Zoom chat thing won't show up. I'm just all kinds of hurt in the world of hurt here.
Yeah, it looks like it showed up finally. You got a black square in front of you on your screen.
Do me a favor, just for fun, stick it in the Colab General channel, please. I don't know what's going on with Zoom chat for me.
There we go. There it is. Colab General?
Yeah. Yeah. So I went out to his place. After the conference, and we initiated the blockchain art thing. And then he drove me to LaGuardia from Queens, where he lived, where he was in Queens, not where he lived in Rochester. But at least he's going to school in Rochester. I'm confused. I don't know. So it was June of this year when you met?
It was July, wasn't it? It was the end of June, yeah. It was the beginning of July.
Well, we created the AOTB channel in June 15th, didn't we?
The page here says every June we get together.
Oh, okay, I'm getting confused with where the date was.
Okay.
When was that created?
June 15th.
June 15th.
And that was a week or two after Eric showed up here. So that's what I'm. Maybe it wasn't a week. Maybe it was almost the same time he showed up. You created the channel.
Yeah, I mean that's just weird that I don't remember. No, it's not weird. That was June? I don't know how that could be. Because
Oh, there was the.
okay, so what happened was it got moved forward. Originally, I was supposed to be there June 26th, and then it got moved forward a week or two. So that's so I think I created that channel as soon as I met with Eric.
All right.
I'm pretty sure. Was our first action item.
So it sounds like there isn't complete community consensus on these two goals. So I'll leave those for you to make issues or do whatever, pursue those goals. They sounded kind of interesting, but they're in the history of the Git thing here. And is non-fungible tokens something that should be top of mind, or is that a detail?
Right. Well, right now it's top of our minds.
Okay.
the the model anyway is going to be is part of the plan, so to speak, of blockchain art, as well as the other stuff he outlines in the network object and the
Okay, Gary, tell me if this is a reasonable snapshot of where we are, or Jim, or both. I could move the history down, but I don't know. It's pretty reasonable. Sorry.
That's reasonable, yeah.
looks good, Dan.
So if you wanted to, you could sort of look at this thing before every Monday, or, you know, just every third, you know, every once in a while before on a Monday. Or what you want to do is make this a useful thing for new people. So if somebody's new, bring up this page and see if you still like this page and go, oops, that's wrong, you know?
Okay.
So it's a welcoming ritual. So if you want to get a history of the whole channel on one page, right?
Of the whole project.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about things in terms of sigmas and deltas?
I guess not.
Okay, so your bank statement has got a bunch of transactions. These are the deltas. You know, add $1,000, take 200 out, blah, blah, blah. Those are the deltas. And then the sigma is my bank balance is $800.
Okay.
So the deltas are the, you know, chat messages and things like that. And then this page is supposed to be the sigma.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So you have the changes are deltas,
Right.
which is consistent. Deltas change. Use consistent with change, and sigma is current state. Is that?
Yeah.
Does that go beyond? Is that?
I don't think that's an obscure thing at all.
Delta sigma modulation. Interesting.
Oh, this must be some sort of. There's a really cool. This is a really cool way to think about it, because bees basically use deltas. They wiggle at each other. They send messages, so they do message passing, and then ants kind of lay down tracks that stay still. So they kind of live in the signal world. So, yeah, I'm sort of, you do both, you know, we're talking back and forth to each other, acting like bees. But humans are kind of nice in that we can write things down and that stay there.
All right. Okay, excellent, super. There's one other thing. Activity. Okay, in robot. Okay, we're starting to prototype, which I haven't committed to the repository yet. Well, we haven't written it yet. I can. Oops. How come I can't? Control G. Control L. Why am I not seeing this? off the bottom of the screen. Art.row. And what basically we're just looking, you know, we started looking at this, making a art object new, and then we required a certificate of what kind of certificate of
Authenticity.
That one has a backward smell to it, but carry on.
Well, it's basically just something signed by the artist.
Yeah, like I said, it has a backward smell to it, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, it's currently in the design certificate.
Right.
Okay, and what, you know, and how this interacts, you know, is the whole thing. And then I threw the owner in here, although, you know, we're doing capabilities, and that requires an identity. I mean, we're looking at the ERC 725 and 735, which are
Capabilities almost never require an identity, but carry on.
the what? Yeah.
If you're properly thinking about things in terms of capabilities, you almost never worry about anybody's identity.
That's true. Okay, and in fact, the identity of the art object is probably the only identity. Well, it may be that we want to deal with.
So, for example, owner might be the capability to contact the owner.
It could be.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what capability that argument represents, but you got to make sure you're thinking about it in terms of some kind of capability.
Yeah, and
it could be some bundle of rights that the owner can exercise.
Yeah. Now, if this is a non-fungible token, then it's going to have metadata associated with it anyway, and this becomes metadata all. But the resale contract, okay, the example that we want to do is based on this, this 15% goes back to the original author on a resale, the increase in price is one example. Could be other examples, but yeah.
So the other thing is you should do the specific one first and then generalize. When you've got three of them, then generalize.
Right.
So if it were me, I would write the resale contract.
Yes. Yeah. We have. I mean, we could do that obviously. And price, I'm not sure I needed this here. I mean, that could be part of the contract, whatever. And I assume here that I'm going to return owner capabilities.
So do you have a story written out in prose?
Well, I guess we did start with a story somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. I mean, the story isn't too complete. We just have a user case where the artist sells the art, and then the purchaser of the art resells it.
Okay, so hold on. I'm going to have to give this sermon on software engineering, if you don't mind. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, so maybe you've already got this written down someplace, in which case, really, I just want a pointer, but okay.
Do we have this written
Okay.
down anywhere, Gary, in terms of the, I mean, what I was saying.
Well, it should be pretty cheap to redo it. If this is redundant, so be it. But I'll just do my software engineering thing. Okay, the artist. Give me a name for the artist for the purposes of humans like names in stories.
Well, we could have, I guess we start with Bob.
Okay. All right. And he sold something.
Are you supposed to be sharing your screen?
Oh, yes. I don't know what happened when I. Okay.
Okay, so obviously Bob's going to create a piece of art, but then he's going to say.
Okay, hold on. But you got to be concrete here. What did he create?
Artist Bob. A work of art.
Yeah, but this is a story. We don't put variables. We put specifics. What kind? Is it a song? Is it a painting?
Oh.
What's the title of the painting? We want to get specific here.
Creates.
Gary? Oh, Gary's muted or something.
What should we say?
Oh yeah, I didn't realize I was muted. I just suggested Bob creates a digital image of a starry plow.
Starry plow. Okay.
Then sells it to Alice for $50 or for 50 lumen.
Good.
And then Alice resells it to
Charlie.
Dave for 100 lumen. And the contract, 15% of,
And this is, I guess, where we wanted to get Eric back on the call so that we come up with the specifics of the story here. But this is fine. This is good that we're making some decisions here. And
Right. So yeah. So do we care whether Alice publishes thousands of copies of the Starry Plow all over hither and yon?
not yet. That's something that we're looking to in the future, but we're keeping this first contract simple.
yeah, and the thing is that the contract that we're using as a model contract, because it's the most prevalent contract out there, which is a very specific contract that is designed for actual physical pieces of art.
Yeah, that's a very sharp line between digital objects and physical objects.
Right, and what Eric is mostly wanting to do is digital objects.
Okay. I think that's easier.
Objects having a set of properties that we define. I mean, we can still define that a digital object can only be exhibited in one place at one time, for example. I mean, that can be.
How would you do that?
How would you enforce it, or how would you define it?
Either way.
The
Oh, I guess my brain was going to enforcement. I guess it's clear how to define it. You just did.
well, I mean, it would, you know, it would have to have a GPS key or something that would represent the location of the art. Or, I mean, I don't know. It's better to talk to Eric about it.
Okay, that's a warning sign, by the way. I mean, when only one person in the community knows something.
Right. Yeah. He's got, well, he's the, you know, I mean, he's leading the effort. He's the sort of he's been doing blockchain art related stuff for several years.
Yeah, and if he hasn't managed to get people to write his ideas down.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so
yeah, so there's ERC 721 is one way to represent ownership. The ERTP, the folks claim that they do,
now,
they don't just claim, they have a demo.
okay, now I guess there's also the ideas of using a hash to represent a digital art should be in our story somewhere. No?
Well, that's one of the mechanisms, sure.
I mean, I don't know if you put in the story, but that's in the solution. I mean, the what defines the art is the hash. So that's the.
Well, I would, if I were doing a hash, I would do some sort of perceptual hash, because if somebody changes, you know, one bit in the corner, a traditional cryptographic hash is going to change. But as far as the artist is concerned, that's still a copy of my picture, right?
Right. Well, that's another user story.
We call that editioning.
Well, yeah, and there is also the.
But I'm talking about the definition of the identity. I doubt that the artist with the starry plow considers the identity of his thing to be exactly that sequence of bytes. I bet that he considers that if you like converted it to JPEG and back to PNG, he would still consider that his work.
Yeah, but we're going to deal with all those in the contract. We're going to deal with all those possibilities in our contract eventually.
I don't know why you don't start with a perceptual hash in the first place. Oh well.
A perception. Should I look that up? I don't know what. I don't know about those.
It's a way of. But so it's basically a hash, except it doesn't capture the exact bytes. It captures, something that looks like that. So for example, you can imagine doing a JPEG compression at like really, really high rate. So you'll only end up with like 70 bits or something.
Uh-huh.
But if you resize that thing or slightly change the colors and then do the JPEG thing again, you're going to get those same 70 bits most likely. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they do this for audio too, right? There's, what song is this? And the machine will listen to the song and bake it down to these little codes that stand for the song.
Okay. So this perceptual hash is something new that we hadn't considered. And this sounds good.
We've been looking at this, something very much related to this, and I'm trying to find it right now. But it's this I don't know why I can't remember it, but we got it from actually Sheldrick, and Eric talk about it in our sessions, and I think it's important for us to look at it, which I can't find it.
Well, if you background that, if you don't mind, so the Agoric folks have this. One of their demos is you buy and sell pixels. So those are non-fungible tokens. You know, the top left pixel is different from the bottom right pixel, and you can get like the whole upper corner of the screen and subtenant out things and stuff like that. So their mint contract handles non-fungible tokens. Now, I have not studied this to see exactly how it works, but they're going to be talking about it at San Francisco Blockchain Week, and supposedly you can run this stuff on your desktop. I've been struggling a little. It's funny that Greg uses the same sort of demo about, or the same sort of idea about massive collaboration, you know. But yeah, you guys can play with Rolang, but it might be interesting to look. It might be interesting to write Rolang that's analogous to ERTP. That might be. I don't know if that'd be a lot of work or a little work.
I guess it's kind of important that we. I've been looking for this stuff on our drive here, and the Google Drive folder for this project I put in the chat as an aside here. This Agoric stuff is very interesting.
Oh, the Zoom chat, I'll have to like log out of Zoom and come back or something to get that. My Zoom chat has gone wonky.
I don't know why you can't find that art channel. Maybe I should mention you. See what happens.
Okay, yeah, try that. Maybe we could try to fix that problem. No, that's not that one. Oh, because I'm just blind, that's why.
Oh, I found that phash demo.
Which of these documents is the most relevant? Jim?
For some reason I don't see. Oh, I guess it would be the log. I thought we had individual files, but
Oh, so this is an established piece of law here.
right. So he wants to do a contract for that, but, and that's why I'm waiting for him to weigh in on it. But he's talking about digital log. He's not talking about this is. If you look down here, okay, if you look at the actual PDF, it gives you the
Up, down, left, right. Oh, this one?
apparently not.
How did you get to the PDF?
Good question. Where is it? Um, so it's in Wiki.
Algorithmically bound to the digital content. That sounds like perceptual hashing, some sort of. Given some digital content, how can I find its identifier? Oh, this is pretty cool.
Where are you?
I went from the log to this ISCC codes thing.
Ah, right. That's the one. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what.
Well, do they have it working?
As far as I could see, this seemed to be pretty complex.
Algorithmic tools.
I didn't find.
Perceptual hashing. Hey, look at that.
Look.
Okay, so they've got some running software here. That's cool. Merkle trees and stuff. I got to learn about Merkle trees. I have a vague idea what it is, but this is pretty cool. It's like, who did this? Because these people that do ISSNs and all this kind of stuff, there's DOIs for the academic literature, and the people that do that stuff. I mean, if you're Harvard.edu, why would you trade your marketing, you know, a valuable piece of marketing for DOI.org? What the heck? You know, Harvard.edu has been around for a lot longer and is going to be around for a lot longer than DOI.org. So anyway, so these guys are sort of doing it. This idea of you know, you can compute the hash based on the gizmo that, you know, the actual object itself is definitely a good idea. It means that there isn't like some gods you have to pray to issue you a new one. You know, it's totally decentralized. So, what the heck? Go to repository. Oh, I've got replies in my agoric work. Oh, it's Python. That makes it easy for me. It's not wonderful, but I'm trying to do less Python in my life, but I certainly invested in it. All right. Well, this was dangerous. I didn't really want to get involved in this art on the web stuff, but I've actually been involved in, you know, metadata and digital rights management, stuff like that, discussions back to at least 2000. I gave a keynote at a librarians conference one time.
So hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of some of your backgrounds in working on this. I mean, right now, we're.
So wait, I was going to try to see who are the movers here. I was looking for the Small World Foundation. Freiburg, Germany. I mean, Small World Effect. I was looking for some people that I know, you know. Although a lot of the people in the communities I know are doing it wrong. Okay, none of you knows this guy. Let's see, pi7.de, interesting. Nothing to see here. Who's in this community? Content blockchain project. What's that? Excuse me just a sec. All right. Ugh. All right. I forget why I took the screen.
Okay, well, we're getting somewhere, I guess. I guess, you know, I don't know where these things like ISC goes in our user stories or whatever. But if we really, you know, really be agile and lean, okay, we have why don't I take the share for a minute, and we look on robot, and we have step one, we create a new art object, okay, and some information about it. I showed you this right now. Our first use case is the owner is going to sell it, so the admin has some sell capability. or I guess anybody, or someone can come and buy it without the owner. Well, I mean, we have to have a sell. You know,
I would
a sell and a buy have to happen.
I would pretty strongly recommend swapping in ERTP at this point.
What?
I said I would pretty strongly recommend swapping in ERTP at this point. This is the kind of contract design you want to take advantage of 30 years of research.
Okay. I mean, you don't think we should look at the basics here in terms of just looking at the interface that we want. I am very happy for you to take the screen on this.
Let's see. Yeah, I guess I can afford some time on that. Let me see.
Should I put this somewhere, like in here? There's the starting point, and I'll let you take over. I mean, it's definitely on our schedule to figure out how to put ERTP on here, or whatever it's called, and electronic rights transfer protocol, ERTP. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we want to do.
Okay, so the Pixel demo, which I wish I had running right now, allows you to buy and sell non-fungible tokens using their electronic rights transfer protocol. Oh, and have you guys heard about Zoe?
No.
No.
This is by way of motivation. I don't think I'm going to go into it deeply just now. Where to go? If only there was a way to guarantee that if your money isn't stolen, the money you sent isn't stolen. If you could guarantee that, would you get what you wanted or get a refund, that would address much of your concern. That's what we call offer safety, and it's enforced by a new smart contracting platform, a breakthrough JavaScript library we're calling Zoe. So I have not dived into the details of that, but they're pretty happy about that thing. All right, I will. Oh, back. Okay, so this is a demo where they are buying and selling non-fungible tokens because these pixels are different from each other. That is, the right to turn the top left one orange is different from the right to turn the top right one orange or green. But you can make a little marketplace where you can buy and sell those. Okay, and so let's swap in ERTP a little bit. Um, let's say we want to create a new community currency called Baytown Bucks. Make mint Baytown Bucks. Okay, so they do make mint pixel list. Woo.
So do we want to use the make contracts that have been written in Rolang already?
Probably, or hopefully it's not a big change. I know that the Rolang mint contract, when it was first written, was taken off of a historical variant of the ERTP stuff. So it should be a straightforward. I'm going to assume that that we can make the mint contract because we've done it before, right?
Yes, yeah, I do remember that this was that. Okay, so that work was already done for us a long time ago.
Right. So the modern ERTP mint has a couple wrinkles that are different, but I'm not going to worry about those. Okay.
Yeah, we even had it on Robot for a while, and I think I deleted them finally. I can't remember who was playing with them, but they ended up not using them. So I took it off.
So this thing does a make pixel list essay maker. So there's a thing in their world called an essay. Let me find the document that has all the concepts. Right. So they've got this interface description language they call chainmail, which is a whole other story. But that's the way they're sort of semi-formally defining their concepts at this point. Okay, so this says holding an essay provides the ability to create asset descriptions and empty purses, but confers no rights. It's also the mechanism to use to get exclusive access to a purse or payment that you already hold, or to burn some or all of the contained rights. I'm hoping that you understood about 2/3 of that. Am I on target?
Yeah, I guess I was looking at the Rolang stuff here at the same time, so I kind of got lost. This is what we're looking at here is oh, I got lost again. The mint chainmail.
Yeah. So they have a thing called a mint. And then, but along with the mint, there's a thing called an essay and an issuer and purses you've heard of. And they distinguish purses and payments. Payments are things you should send. Purses are things you should not. I think that's kind of a little bit of a usability thing. That's like, I guess there's a foot gun involved in sending purses that you didn't mean to. So they've split that into two. I don't know what extent ops is. Where's issuer? Okay, they don't do issuer anymore. Now so I'm way out of date. There's something about amounts and stuff.
So I'm looking at, on MakeMint.ro here from about a year ago.
Yeah. You want to paste the URL of what you're.
Paste it in Colab. I'm not sure why it's in Casper branch here, but I noticed that before. And I don't know if we have another one. It's not in the Casper branch.
Right. It's just, okay, so here's a bunch of code, but this doesn't give us any human feeling for what rights it confers, right?
Right. Well, this is, yeah, this is just basic, well, basic, well, a purse.
I'm just saying it's not at all straightforward to read this. Right? If I handed this to a fifth grader, they're going to go, what? Right? They're not going to get anything from this, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I said, a mint allows you to print money, a fifth grader could go, oh, I kind of understand what you're saying.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying is that we're engaged in the designing of a contract, and so these guys have thought a lot about how you take rights and make them so that they compose. And so you can take the right to make all the money in the world and then split it into the right to make half the money in the world, and then the right to make $1 and the right to move $1 from here to there, but not to spend it or to trade it, for a given certain amount of time and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's really useful to swap these concepts into the mind and say, okay, we have not only the ability to send messages between objects, which is what Roland gets us, right? The very, we can hide things and we can send messages around. All right, great. It's like we got little teeny tinker toys. But you also want to have, it's useful to have some sort of higher level libraries. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is me and you, I hope, swapping in ERTP and figuring out what the parts are.
I just ran one of those perceptual hashes on a file that I mutilated to see if it would check it as derivative of the original, and it did suggest that it is a copy or a version or something.
Yeah.
You want to see it?
That's awesome.
It sounds cool. I don't know if you're interested in ERTP for this contract design.
I'm very interested in this ERTP. Don't break away from this. Okay. Yeah, I know this is more important.
May not be more important, but it's
right.
But anyway, the p hash works.
Yeah.
That demo is a little buggy, but it proved the point.
Yeah. The ERTP comes first, and the what do we call it? Comes second. The
perceptual hash.
That's awesome that you were able to.
Yeah, it's nice that the software is mature enough that you can just get it going within the span of the call.
Yeah, it's my sense at looking at it very briefly was that there wasn't much there we could use right away. Obviously, I missed something.
Right. Okay, so maybe a purse is a useful place to start because we knew about them. Well, we kind of know we want them. All right, so get name, that's kind of who cares. Get essay, that's a mystery to me. We'll just carry on for a second. Get balance. Ooh, interesting. Now, interestingly, you might think that when you say get balance, you get a number, but that's not the case because sometimes a purse holds a song.
Right. Huh.
Does that make sense, Gary?
I'm sorry, I stepped away for a second. Would you repeat the last statement?
Yeah, okay, so we're looking at purse and get balance. You might think that it returns a number. Well, it doesn't. It returns an asset description. It might be a perceptual hash.
Ah,
In other words, a purse might hold a picture.
cool.
So these are not the kind of purses that you've been thinking of before. They're not just rev tokens. And they're not just, well, they're not just sort of new money tokens, which are fungible tokens, right? $1 is as good as another.
Right.
Right. But this kind of purse can hold non-fungible tokens. So we've got this asset description. Ooh, now that's the kind of thing we were talking about earlier, metadata and stuff. What the heck is that? So let's see what an asset description is. Because they have got some theory about when you've got the same thing and when you've got something different and stuff like that. Interface asset description. No, that, what the heck? Where's interface asset description? Losing. There we are. Okay, asset descriptions are wrappers on extents, whatever those are, that have been validated by a desk ops. Okay, so maybe somebody checked a hash. I'm not sure, but maybe that's what's going on here. Does that make sense? No. Okay, he's muted himself.
I'm sorry.
All right.
So you're looking at the Roland contracts, seeing if I can see that. I should try to understand one at a time.
Yeah, please. Let's try to swap in the RTP, please. All right. So an asset description looks like it has a label and an extent, but we don't know what those are yet. Okay. So now we have struct extent has nothing to it. Extents describe the extent of something. Oh boy, that helps. That can be owned or shared. The format is determined by its desk ops. Fungible extents are normally represented as natural numbers. Other extents may be represented as strings naming a particular right or an arbitrary object that sensibly represents the rights at issue. So to me, this smells like, you know, the place you would stick a perceptual hash or something. All asset descriptions made by the same desk ops have the same label. Interesting. Extent must be comparable. That's kind of a JavaScript-y thing. All right. Oh, now we have desk ops, which have been referred to a couple times. Maybe we're going to get into some meat here. Asset desks are the canonical description of tradable goods. They are manipulated by mints and represent the goods and currency carried by purses and payments. They can be used to represent things like currency, stock, and the abstract right to participate in a particular exchange. The desk ops treats the label as an opaque object. It's used in the asset produced by this desk ops. Okay. They were playing with these names, and I think they did not hit a winner here.
Yeah, I know that one is less than helpful.
Right. Okay. Okay. So get label, make a new verified asset descriptor containing the alleged extent. Interesting. So this is kind of a non-trivial doodad. I mean, because if you just say, give me a label, who cares? Like, that doesn't prevent anybody from doing anything or anything like that. But here we say, I've got this alleged extent. And then if you have a handle on the desk ops, that means you can check whether the alleged extent is actually good. So that sounds like useful in actually enforcing the parts of a contract, right?
So this is like we're actually instantiating an art object here. No?
Right. Somebody sends you something and claims that it's a payment. And you're like, well, I'm not really sure, right? But if you have some kind of a thingamabob and you can say, is it any good, then that's kind of an interesting doodad. All right. All right, that's make. That gives you an alleged extent and oh, and it also sort of opens up the package. Let's go back and see what a asset description is. A label and an extent. All right, not that interesting after all. All right, so where were we? Make, okay, and then we have coerce. Is this like an asset description made by this desktop such that one receiver will pass by, otherwise, if so, return, otherwise return an error. Okay, this is another thing saying, you know, is this one for real? All right, return an extent representing your asset, so we can trade an asset description for an extent. Return, so this is a generic interface and might be instantiated by various things. Okay, we can make an empty thing. We can check whether something's empty. Oh, we can check to see whether one set of rights includes another set of rights. So you might have like, here's a package of 4 tickets to the concert. Does it include this ticket? You know, here's the right to sit in seats A, B, C, and D. Does it include the right to sit in seat A? Right? Here's the right to my song performances all next week. Does it include the right to see my song performance on Monday?
Okay.
Okay, and then here's equals, and then with, go ahead.
It would be like capabilities. I mean, I have the capability to read this. Do I have the capability to update it in some way? No?
Yeah, right. You might have, you could have, files could be something you can trade, you know, in the read and write sense. Okay, you can always compare these things, and then this is how you sort of lump them together. If I've got a left thing and a right thing, I can lump them together and make another one. So for fungible assets, this means adding the extents. For other kinds of asset descriptions, it usually means including both. All right, and there's without. There's for some kind of subtracting. All right, and then there's a human description. Okay, so that looks like some meat there. I don't like the name, Desktop's. But that looks useful. And then back to the Mint. So holding an assay provides the ability to create asset descriptions in empty purses, but confers no rights. Confers no rights. Maybe it's just sort of data manipulation. Anyway. Okay, make Mint. All right, interface Mint. I can get an assay for this Mint. And I can mint new purses. Purses hold verified asset descriptions. Purses can transfer part of the balance they hold. A purse's balance can rise and fall. Operations on payments kill the original payment and create a new payment if applicable. Primary use for purses and payments is for currency-like and goods-like valuables. They can also be used to represent other kinds of rights, such as the right to participate in a particular contract. Now, I wonder how payments and purses are different. Payments hold verified asset descriptions of certain rights issued by mints. Asset descriptions from payments can be deposited in purses, but otherwise the entire asset description is available when the payment is transferred. The payments balance can only fall through the action of deposit exactly, claim exactly, or burn exactly. Payments can be converted into purses. Okay. So payments can be converted into purses. I wonder if you can do it the other way around. Oh, I guess you can take a payment out. Yeah, you can withdraw a payment. Okay.
Do you understand what the difference is? who they
Again, a purse is something you kind of hold on to, and then a payment is something you send to somebody else. You can just do everything. You could just have purses, but I think they found that there's kind of usability aspects to that. Oops, I accidentally sent my whole purse over the wire, and I didn't mean to do that, right?
Yeah,
I only meant to.
Something you read right at the beginning said that purses are not transferred.
Right.
Which I'm a little bit unsure how you can prevent that. I mean, I have a capability for a purse, and I give it to Gary.
Right. All they're saying is, as a programmer, you should, as a code reviewer, you should say, "Oops, don't do that. We don't send purses around." It's just sort of a programming norm, I think. Yeah, if you did it, then you would give Gary the rights to take everything out of your piggy bank. But it's just, as far as coding patterns, is something you generally don't do. You make a payment, send the payment to Gary. Yeah, so I'd have to find the whole story behind that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Well, I know that there's a version of all this stuff without payments that just had purses. So
I would guess that a payment is associated with some
purse. Yeah, you always get payments out of purses.
Well, wouldn't you also deposit a payment into a purse?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so that's a difference. The payment has a destination purse, right?
No, you can deposit, if you have a payment, you can deposit it in any purse from that same mint.
Okay, so you're saying it's sort of like your budget, right? You're budgeting this for rent, but you're not. It's not. It's not in your purse anymore, but it's going to be paid to later.
Right. Okay, so here's some JavaScript code that makes an essay. Make pixelless essay. Vouch course. So vouch, I don't think it was one of the things we read about. Course was. I wonder if course uses vouch. Yep, brands are part of one of the OCAP patterns. The Rolang Mint stuff originally used brands, and then they moved away from it for performance reasons. Now they've junked purses altogether, purses and mints altogether, in favor of these vault things, but it's another story. Okay, so if we want to define these art objects, basically that interface obliges us to define things like includes and with and without and stuff like that. So when one wants to make up a 721 token, there's certain things you have to, certain parts of code you have to write, right? Let's see. Yeah, so here's the interface. If you want to make up an ERC 721 token, you have to supply a transfer, an approval flaw, balance of, owner of, safe transfer from, blah, 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 right? You have to write code behind all these signatures. So likewise, the corresponding thing for ERTP is this stuff. And so here's an example of, oops. And so where's like the X and the Y?
So is there? So the the ERC 721 specifies a bunch of events, that occur. Is there a rule of thumb on how events translate to Rolang?
I would guess their message sends. Maybe, I don't know.
It seems like you would have to have some event handler. You'd have to define.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. We got some events up here. Yeah. The Rolang doesn't have a built-in sense of events. I'm not really sure what an event is.
And, well, in Ethereum, it's just something in the log, right?
Yeah, but I haven't built software systems that use them and stuff. That's what I mean. I don't know what the mathematical definition of it is, you know. How does it get into the log? Can I put any kind of event, into the log? Does it cost me money to put things in there? I don't know these things.
Well, it doesn't cost to put stuff or read stuff from the log directly, but indirectly, it's part of your execution. But I mean, they're basically totally passive. They're recorded to the log, and then you have to have something outside of Ethereum look for them on the log and do something.
So it could be some name sitting up there in the sky, and you just send messages to that name, and everybody reads off that name. That I can imagine that would be one way to implement it in Rolang. I don't know. Kind of like stood out. Includes pixel. Trying to find out where they actually. How do you make a freaking pixel or pixel list? Where's the empty thing? Ah, here we go. I see. You don't sort of make one pixel, you make a canvas, and then you allocate parts of the canvas out. It's like if you're doing a file system in an object, in a capability security way, you have one capability that stands for read and write the whole disk. And then the person who holds that capability can say, okay, I'm going to hand out the capability to read and write sector 1. So here's make whole pixel. This must be like the minting operation. They've got this thing layered down in about 7 layers. That's not really wonderful. So this suggests that there should be some function like make all the art in the world, which hurts my brain a little.
I mean,
okay, we could say that each person is a mint and they get to say when they made a piece of art. Bob is an authority on when Bob created a piece of art.
right.
Or I suppose this ICC thing defines a mint. Because anything that hashes the same way, yeah, this thing sort of defines all the art in the world, in a way.
Well, it's sort of like supporting derived art. I mean, you know, I don't think you have to define. I mean, all the art, the ISCC specification specifies all the art. But I don't know. It's not clear to me that we have to create that explicitly. In fact, I don't think we should. I think it's simply defined by its interface.
Well, the way ERTP works, the way mints work is you start by making all of the rev in the world, for example, right? When you make a mint,
okay, what I'm suggesting is that anytime somebody makes an art object, that it's independent, and they create this make whole. They make the whole art piece, and then there can be derived pieces from that.
Well, okay, you could say that each art history, you know, the history of any particular artwork is a mint, but you're not going to be able to trade between. Well, can you trade between mints? Yes, you can. So that would be another way to do it, is to say every piece of art is its own mint. That would seem to have a lot of market friction, though. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about examples.
I'm just saying it's straightforward to say we can make a mint for all the things capturable by this ISCC, which seems like an awful lot of stuff. Does that make sense?
I missed something there. I'm thinking when okay, the common interface is what allows you to put them in a trading system, right? Polymorphism,
Yeah.
so to speak.
And this seems to be a description of the interfaces of things you can do with ISCC objects. You can do things like chunk hashing and, or you may be able to anyway, or text normalization, feature extraction.
So the question is, you know, does the ISCC, what do they call it? Description, the components.
I think they call it an identifier. That's my guess. Let's see. ISCC digest. Oh, and a code. Fully qualified ISCC digest and the fully qualified ISCC code is 52 character, blah, 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 blah.
Interesting. ISCC specification. So is it ISCC digest and code? Are these components of an art object?
They are derivable from any digital art object, is my understanding.
Derivable.
In other words, if you have an image, you can take its hash, you know, a perceptual hash, and you'll get a string of digits. And then if you revise the image, I think that goes into the Merkle tree and such and such.
So so like a hash, this is going to be You identify the art object.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to pay for something, we're going to buy an art object. Well, that's a whole other thing here. What it calls a certificate of authenticity is something that is controlled. Okay, the way I understood it would be the authority on who the current owner is of the object or of this.
No, the owner is whoever has the purse.
Okay, so if I have the purse, how do you find out that I have the purse?
Well, that's a whole different problem. The ERTP doesn't claim to address that problem. I mean, the label on it or something, you know, is kind of a secured piece of information, and I can take that label and stick it in places that Google can find. You know, I can take these kind of things here and put them in places that Google can find, and, you know, catalogs and websites and blah 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 blah. And then you could, let's see. Yeah, a lot of people could have the thing that says, a lot of people could, I think this is a lot of people would have access to the essay. There'd be no restrictions around getting that. And that would give you the ability to say, okay, Jim claimed that he owns this painting. Does he really? Because you could send me a claim that you own it. It's somehow, you know, it's like a $0 payment from the purse. And so it wouldn't give me any rights to actually own the painting or display it publicly or anything like that, but it would allow me to verify your claim.
Okay. So the ERC 721 actually a proxy object, in that, you know, there could be various operations on it, like you might buy or the art object, or you might rent it, or you might view it, or you might have the right to view it for a month, or
Yep.
so this, I mean, there's all the digital rights management things that could be done here.
Right, but those don't have to be built. Those are just Roland code.
Yeah.
They don't have to be part of the. I don't know whether those are all part of ERC 721 or whether they can be built on top, but they can all be built on top of ERTP. I know that.
Right. It's Well, for both for the identity and for the tokens, they use. I mean, it's they have a proxy object that sends requests to the specific thing that you're, the specific identity or token that you're working with. It has its own contracts and its own capabilities, so to speak.
Well, capabilities has a technical meaning, and they don't exist in Ethereum.
Right.
Well, that's not entirely true. Actually, I don't know whether you can do capabilities at all in Ethereum. That the ability to, because every message gives you access to the sender, and that really screws things up. That means like every capability has the backwards pointer, which means everybody has the capability to see everything, which means you can't represent limited capabilities roughly.
Well, what they seem to do in Ethereum is they have signed transactions that only a certain accounts can access. Whatever, there's some way that you can access the signed transaction and run it.
Well, okay, it may be just something an intuition that comes over time, but for me, like, okay, I've got Oracle access control lists and Unix access control lists, and I can't plug them together. They just don't, right?
Yeah.
I can't say that this file is available to anybody on this Oracle access control list. Can't do it, right? And I think that ERC 721 is going to have the same things. ERC 721 is going to be like Unix access control lists, and you're going to have this other thing over here, and they're just not going to stick together. Whereas capabilities do compose.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I guess I'm just thinking of how they do it instead of capabilities by passing signed transactions around.
Yeah, and it could be that they actually are doing something equivalent to capabilities, and I haven't looked at it the right way, but that's not my impression at all.
Arbitrarily. I mean, it's a general purpose machine. You can always emulate it, right?
But often those kinds of emulations have exponential costs and stuff, so that they're infeasible.
Awesome. So,
well, I think I know how I would do a mint for this, the space of things that can be described by this. I think I know. Hold on, let's see. You want to, okay, so after you make the mint, you kind of want to throw away the key. Right? You don't want, King Fred sitting there with the ability to mint more rev on any given day. I don't know how we're going to do that with Roland. I guess there's supposed to be some governance structure where if you do all the right things, we can mint more stuff or something. I don't think we're going to completely throw away the key to minting rev. But you don't want it to just be sitting around where anybody can go, oh, I'm going to make 12 more rev.
Yeah, well, there is there is a process of inflating rev, right?
Of doing what?
I thought there was a process of creating rev based on validators or something.
Yeah. The Casper contract has access to the mint. Right. All I'm saying is, are any people going to have access to the mint? After the Genesis block, is there going to be a person who has the ability to say, "Oh, I'm going to make 1 million more rev"?
That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
But I don't think it could be a person. It could be I don't know. They could be,
I mean, that would obviously not be a very good governance structure, right?
right. Well, that's the thing. Once we have the governance structure, in order to control that, we have to be able to tie into it somehow.
Well, but we have to have some governance structure on day one at Genesis. You could have, for example, a 50-person multi-sig. And if all 50 people, if these people agree, then okay, we're going to change the policy.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we don't have 50 people.
Or we could say we could have the membership of the co-op.
Yeah, but we don't have a decision procedure for the membership of the co-op.
Right. But no. And then have some rule about 3/4 of the members can change the constitution, so to speak, or the base contract of our chain. Or something.
Right. So if somebody designs a contract of that sort and includes it in the Genesis block, then we're good. But that's a lot of design work, and you have to get a bunch of people to say what their keys are or something. We don't have a membership identity that's exercisable on chain right now. We have Discord.
Yeah.
I have built Discord bots that connect with our chain.
Well.
But as back to this art stuff, it's starting to make more sense that either an artist defines a mint or the history of one particular piece of art defines a mint. I don't know.
I suppose we could.
The other thing is that there's some algorithms in this thing that define a mint, and you could set those algorithms in motion and throw away the key.
Yeah, but anybody can create art, so they don't need any key to do that.
Right, and the way that you check whether that's the same piece of art is you run these algorithms. And it would leave aside the question of, access control to the art, but it would allow you to have verifiable claims about the art. Because I think the way you would handle versions, I think that's what this Merkle tree stuff is about. Is you can say, okay, this is a revision of that thing, and I said so because I could do this Merkle. I can show that I had both versions, and I had this one before I had that one. And it could be that the creator of the second version is, it could be mathematically infeasible to do that unless you're the creator. But that would, you might have to have some sort of time thing. But you could read off the blockchain and include that in the hash of the next thing, and that would allow you to say, you would get all the strength of the blockchain in your claim that this is a revision of that. And then if you pushed it back on the blockchain, things on the blockchain could verify it.
So what do you see as our next steps here, Dan? Seems like somebody has to really dive into this ERTP thing and
yeah, it's an interesting project. Yeah, the terms of my Agoric contract are not as wide open as the terms of my Archain thing was. So I probably couldn't get paid for this yet, but I might be able to eventually. I probably have to do the work in JavaScript too. Probably wouldn't get paid for the Rolang parts of it. See, the nice thing about doing it in JavaScript is that there's probably libraries for doing it. Well, I guess they're in Python so far. And I guess you can take Java code and stick it into your Archain node. So if there was, for example, if there was Java code that could compute these hashes, right? It might be pretty painful to rewrite that in Rolang and not very performant. So you could stick the Java code into your node and convince other people in your shard to do likewise. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Have you looked at, I know Dappy would help in that regard.
What's Dappy?
Dappy is is an application framework done by a French guy, Lamouet, Dappy.
Yeah.
It's basically a couple of things. It's a name services. It's a DNS for Archain, so to speak, for apps. And it has basically it has the JavaScript and HTML stuff stored on Archain. And so you're getting the you're getting the client, middleware, and back end, so to speak. That's guaranteed by the blockchain.
Oh, yeah, I can see how that's relevant. You can have the computations done in the browser and then spit back into the chain. You couldn't really verify. Well, you might be able to verify them on chain, sort of.
Well, everybody's going to run it, right? And so they should get the same answer, right?
Yeah, but they're not going to run it. They're not going to run it in Rolang. The only thing that Archain guarantees is that the Rolang runs the same way.
Right.
So right now we have things like SHA-256 that you can invoke from Rolang, right? And it invokes a bunch of Java code, right? I'm just saying you could add these kind of hashes to, just like we have SHA-256, and then you could verify them on chain. Anyway, that's yeah. You can certainly do other kinds of prototyping along the way.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think how you can get other validators. Yeah.
I mean, you can always do the thing that says, I claim this is the answer to this computation, and here's $50 you can have if I'm wrong. No, but I don't know how you do that online. You have to say, here's $50 you can have if 100 people say I'm wrong, and then they could all collude, and you're back to square one. Anyway.
Yeah. So if there was an event framework that could cause these things, external things, to be run, we could do a some kind. Well, I have to think about that. Oh well. And no, I mean the identity stuff is coming up. I don't know what you what your thoughts on that are. You know, here again, I'm looking at the ERC 725 and 735 interfaces, which give us, you know, are designed to enable a self-sovereign identity. And, you know, I mean, an art object has an identity. I mean, these are all things that we want to put in the DID directory. And, you know,
I haven't seen any value in DIDs yet.
Really? You don't think? A decentralized directory of entities is necessary to be able
to violate everybody's privacy? Yeah, I haven't seen anything. Like I said, value. There, a bunch of people can make up random numbers, and then what? Who? Okay. What's the value?
well, I mean, very basic. Okay, I mean, okay, I think if you take each class of objects independently, okay, each one will have its own value. Like, you know, the identification for cars and identifications for paintings and the identification for people and IoT devices and such.
Okay, take the one for people. Tell me how that's valuable to have a.
Well, the thing is, if I say that, you know, my DID is rchain/Jim Scarver, okay, then you can send me a message, an encrypted message, or you can get my public key. If I'm running a service, I can determine how you want to be authenticated on my service so that you agree that to be that the user can represent me on your service.
I don't see what we've got to, you know, we don't get with Google.
What do you
I mean,
say?
if it's about finding things, you're not going to do better than Google. If it's about rights, then unforgeable names are the necessary and sufficient mechanism.
Well, you trust Google, but
Yes.
yes.
Why would I not trust Google?
Because well, my experience with them is they're not trustworthy, but the basic reason to not trust them is any centralized system can be corrupted.
Okay, what I meant by Google is doing taking all the links.
It will be.
What I meant by Google is some service that takes all the web, all the pointers in the web, and does, I forget what the calculation is on it, PageRank. In other words, everybody that uses the web thinks that's Jim Scarver. And they do that by publishing information that says so.
Yeah, I mean, what if you look up Jim Scarver on the web, that's my identity. But that doesn't. That's not. Uh, uh, that's not a self-sovereign identity.
Yeah, which is a piece of mumbo jumbo. It has no meaningful definition.
Well, there's no better source of information about yourself than yourself. It would be
That's
nice to be able to.
That's not true.
It,
Jim, you don't really believe that? If I said I was never born, you'd believe me?
no, and it takes a lifetime to build trust and a second to lose it.
Right.
So there is a lot of motivation for you to not claim that, to not make that claim, and nobody else is going to sign it. Okay, so if you're going to have a decentralized web of trust, that you need a DID. I mean, you're not going to.
No, you don't. Okay, argument by assertion. I can take the flip side of the coin. No, you don't.
Okay, so somebody in China. Okay, you're saying that they can give me, let's say, I know there's some way that I can find out how to authenticate them in a standard way without the DID directory.
No, but the DID directory doesn't give me that either.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't.
He says,
It's a bunch of magic promises.
Here's my directory entry, right? Okay.
I can publish a public key on a web page and it works just fine.
Does the public key tell you what your requirement is for authenticating, doing an authentication? Yes. That you are you?
That's what a public key does, yes. I mean, if you want to send messages only to me, and if you want to verify that messages came from me, then a public key is exactly what you need. I mean, there's tons of problems around it. Like, then people can, if we all publish these things, then, all of our privacy rights went into the toilet, and, key rotation and all that kind of stuff. All these are incredibly hard problems, but they're not solved by any of the DID test specs. The DID specs promise solutions to all these problems, but don't deliver.
What do you mean? They don't deliver the revocation of key? I mean, the ability, the basic.
Show me the piece of software that does it.
Well, what we're building, you have a separate identity in every context you're in. I don't see any other way to manage it except with a DID directory. But
why do you need a directory? All you need are unforgeable names for that. Yes, it's very useful to have a separate little token for each relationship. And so unforgeable names are really handy, and you give them out to exactly the people that should be able to exercise the rights. This is just basic object capability design. Yeah. There's no big directory in the sky unless, yeah, you have a JavaScript runtime, which is
centralized directory is you don't have to trust Keybase, you don't have to trust Google, you don't have to trust anybody.
Baloney.
You're using a decentralized directory that federates with sources that you trust.
I thought you just said you don't have to trust anybody. It just goes round and round in circles.
You don't have to trust anybody specific. But,
All I'm saying is unforgeable names are necessary and sufficient. They give you all the things you need.
I don't know how I can find anybody's unforgeable name. You know, and you know, be sure
I can publish.
You can publish.
Yeah, I mean we have a registry in Rolang, for example, and you can stick unforgeable names in there and publish the identifier you get there.
Okay, but how do I know it's you?
Well, how do you know it's me in the DID world? I mean, I can write contracts that express all sorts of theories of identity.
Yeah. How do I know where to get information about you? Okay.
Google. Search the web.
And you know, and
how would the DID specs solve that problem? They don't.
the information that I want published about me is, you know, is controlled by the user managed authorizations, the UMI calls that I make to declare the aspects of my identity and how they're exposed.
So you write smart contracts, in other words, right?
Well, if there's no standard for it, they won't be good for use with any arbitrary other person out there. You have to have a standard.
I think various smart contracts will emerge as standards. I just haven't seen anything in any of the DID specs. They just promise that all these wonderful things are going to happen, and the specs don't actually specify how to do any of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, the discovery document has certain applications that they define, but we can obviously use them. They're extensible in their very definition, so that we can use them.
Yes, all that means is that someone can someday solve the problem. It doesn't mean that the problem is solved. They claim that it's a self-sovereign identity, but it's not. It's just a string of bits.
You know, I mean, let's say, for example, that the code for me to revoke a key isn't there, and I know it is there. I don't know how robust it is, but you know, I can get 3 buddies or something, or 4 buddies to work with me to revoke a key. This has been demonstrated with Uport and a number of self-sovereign identities.
Right. So you wrote a smart contract. Great.
Okay. So if I want to find out, let's say, if Joe Blow from Cincinnati revoked this key that I got, is there a standard way for me to do that? How do I do that?
Well, you show me what it is where it says in the DID spec how to do that, and I'll show you how to do it with Erlang.
Well, okay, but if they're not following the DID standard, then obviously they can't use it.
Where in the DID spec does it say how to do that?
It doesn't need to. It puts you in control of your DID document so that you can specify what key people should use for what purpose.
No, it doesn't.
What are you talking about? What doesn't it do?
It doesn't put me in control of anything.
What?
It doesn't put me in control of anything.
But nobody else can modify your DID. Only you can modify your DID.
Are you saying that they use public key cryptography?
What?
Are you saying that they use public key cryptography?
That's one thing that they use, yeah. It's a very common usage. Most
Okay, so
will expect to have a public key on there, but not necessarily so.
oh, what are all the ways?
They could have information about their identity providers they use and not have any information about what their key is or anything.
In other words, you can write smart contracts.
Well, you can find the smart contracts.
How do you find it? How do I find it, the ID for you? Which page of the spec tells me how to find the DID for Jim's White Scarver? All it says is that computers are handy for these sorts of problems. It doesn't actually solve any of these problems. It might be a community of practice that's approaching these problems, but the DID spec itself, all it's got is a bunch of fill in the blank stuff. It says, oh, by the way, it'd be useful to have a blockchain here. Oh, but you actually have to have a blockchain specification in order to enforce this stuff. And there's no piece of software that works across blockchains.
What are you talking about? DID works across everything. It's totally decentralized. I can implement it any way I want. They can implement it on Ethereum or on any blockchain any way. I don't care. The whole point is...
Show me one piece of software that works across all blockchains.
What?
Show me one piece of software that works across all blockchains.
Well, a DID directory can be implemented on every blockchain. And all of those DID directories can be federated. Yes,
but what piece of software can I install now to get access to your stuff? Because you said that once I have your DID, it can point to any blockchain and I can access it. Not so, right?
Well, you have to federate with some DID, somebody else who does DID.
Reduction to previously unsolved problems. Yes, we can build computer platforms. Yes, that's all the DID spec says, is that you can write smart contracts and you can build things. It doesn't say that, it doesn't actually solve any problems. It says you can go solve these problems. There's not any value.
If you have no standard to integrate all these directories and all these different systems, then you have no place to start. You have no place to begin. Okay, you have to have some kind of some glue that takes all these separate systems and makes them accessible.
Yeah, I think the Agoric stack is the most likely way to do it. JavaScript with object capabilities.
Well, not everybody's going to use that.
I think it's more likely than the DID stuff. Everybody does use JavaScript. Show me a blockchain that has no JavaScript code. Really.
Some people use Rolang. They use all different things. And and without a protocol that says, give me the directory information on this ID that works across all, that's a standard. We can't cooperate. We have no means of cooperating.
I understand that, but the DID specs don't solve any interesting part of the problem.
It just gives you a way to get a DID document from any address.
No, it doesn't.
Of course, what are you talking about?
There's a blank in every DID that can be like a made-up blockchain, right? So the DID spec doesn't give you a way to dereference that identifier. You just have to go and find the software for that blockchain. which doesn't get you anywhere. You then have the whole trust problem and everything. The DID spec itself hasn't contributed to the solution.
Well, the DID, the DID implementations, okay, allow you to retrieve a DID document across all identity systems and blockchains that are part of the federation of the DID directories.
In other words, they're like web browsers. They can use different URL schemes. To me, a system with mobile code and object capabilities is a much bigger part of the solution than this thing that says there's a arbitrary identifier controlled by ICANN or something that tells you where to go find the software or something. I don't know.
There is no ICANN. What are you talking? That's what the DID directory eliminates as any central authority.
Baloney. Show me a DID. Just show me one DID.
How about okay, of course, I guess you can't see it because you're sharing your screen, but DID : rchain : Jim Scarver.
There you go, rchain : Who says what that means?
The Federation.
What federation?
The Federation that you belong to. So
I thought there was a standard here, right? Given the identifier, there's an algorithm for actually dereferencing the thing. What's the algorithm? I've got rchain : who tells me what that means?
Okay, the rchain : part, that's going to determine, I guess, the routing of where.
Yeah, but where do I look up rchain :
And
how do I find out what rchain : means? I have to ask something like ICANN, right?
No, you can ask George. You might.
Well, if I ask George and I ask Bob, are they somehow going to magically give me the same answer?
Well, I'm sorry?
If I ask George and I ask Bob, are they somehow magically going to give me the same answer?
They may not. Who do you trust, George or Bob?
Well, how am I guaranteed to get your identity document?
You still have to trust somebody. You don't have to trust somebody specific. You don't have to trust an ICANN or the U.S. government, or but without any trust at all, you're not going to be, you're not going to have anything. I mean, generally, I consider a global consensus to be a consensus among blockchains. So, I mean, that's where that's ultimately what you would want to do if you had an unknown DID like rchain. What's the consensus of blockchains?
Oh, so what's the consensus on what BTC means? Does it mean Bitcoin or Bitcoin Classic? These are things that wars are fought over. This is not a solved problem, Jim. They have not contributed in a useful way to the solution. They basically distracted people from useful solutions.
I disagree totally. I don't see how, without a decentralized directory, we can even take the first step.
Well, you don't even have a decentralized directory.
Well, you trust ICANN, right?
Okay, how is this in this advance over HTTP and DNS?
Well, first of all, well,
they have not contributed usefully to the solution space. I mean, you need a whole system with mobile code and things like unforgeable names or object capabilities and economics glued into it. Then you can make solutions.
So, no, I'm just trying to figure out, if we have no standard to cover this, I mean, I understand that DID standard doesn't do everything. But if we don't start somewhere with something, I don't know how we can talk to each other. I don't know how we can cooperate.
You use URLs. I mean, there's HTTP URLs. There's HTTP URLs and there's RChain URLs and all this kind of stuff. There's lots of different URL schemes. We just don't need a DID URL scheme. It doesn't add anything.
Is there some URL schema that we can use to represent identities?
Yeah, HTTP and RChain and lots of them. Yeah. IPFS and lots of them. I mean, putting DID colon in the front of it doesn't change anything. It doesn't contribute anything.
Oh, it tells you what the schema is, and of the directory document. That's one thing it does.
No, but yeah, but MIME types are better for that.
They are.
If you're talking about how to help everybody understand which data format they're going to get when they fetch something, MIME types are the universally deployed solution to that.
So I can find out what fields are in the bank account through the MIME type.
Yes. Yeah, like OFX has a MIME type, the Open Financial Exchange stuff.
But that doesn't tell me, how to get. Okay, we'll take something specific. Suppose I have I want to. Let's say I know you're Zorro on Twitter, and I want to prove that you're Joe Blow.
What do you mean by Joe Blow?
Well, let's say, I want a proof of some credential that you have. I want a proof that you have blue eyes, whatever.
Well, it makes a big difference.
Why? Because that's what, that's most of what we're talking about with the identity standards is claims and.
Exactly, but the DID spec doesn't tell you how to do anything with claims. It says, oh, somebody else will go solve that problem. Yeah, you need a marketplace of stuff that will verify claims. That's what we were just talking about in the ERTP documents.
Which document?
ERTP.
Oh.
You can have an alleged payment and the thing will tell you whether it's a good one or not. And the payment can be a claim.
How could it be out of date? Oh.
I mean, at the end of the day, a verifiable claims solution looks like a market.
Okay, so, I mean, so just looking at W3C org use cases here, I see that the DID or other digital identity system replaces the role of the notary in a paper physical world. Okay, the notary implies that you have to trust somebody. So I want to find out what this digital identity system is that crosses all blockchains.
Right, but there is, okay.
As a notary.
Oh, well, the Agoric stuff has a reasonable story. I can tell you how their architecture works there. But this specification does not solve that problem.
Okay, now how do I specify the various IDs, like government ID, like a Facebook ID, all these other IDs that I have? And who issued them? I'm not sure how I would do that.
You write a bunch of JavaScript code, or Roland code, or whatever it is that interacts with the actual systems.
Well, if every system is different, that doesn't, I can't possibly write this stuff.
Well, this does not solve that problem either. You have to write different software for every system that this thing claims to interact with. This does not solve any of the problems.
Right. I mean, you have a decentralized directory. You can get this information. You can get these structures from anyone, any of these things. You have the proofs and the claims.
What proofs?
Well,
See, they've got a blank there for signature by the government. This spec doesn't actually say how the proofs work. The proofs are going to be smart contracts built with mobile code and object capabilities.
I know the signed documents are standard. So I mean those are the proofs, right? And there's other proofs, and we can look them up. There's and whether
which part of this spec tells me how the proofs work? See, if you have software that implements this specification, the only thing it does is load other software that actually does useful work. And you don't
care how HoloChain does it. I don't care how somebody else does it. As long as we both follow the standard, we can federate. I don't know how we can federate without.
No, you can federate just fine without doing this spec.
Okay, so you're saying no yelling. Okay, now if I will not let someone act as me in the context of some service without biometric authentication. How do I specify that I need to be authenticated biometrically in order to?
Show me the part of this spec that tells me how to do that. It's not in here.
It's right, but it tells you what service to use for authenticating me.
Where?
In the DID document.
Show it to me.
That's a very basic thing that the DID does. It tells how to authenticate me. DID. Oh.
Hello,
I
Abu.
don't like this. Is this the one I just looked at?
No. Well, maybe.
Authenticate. DID actions. Sign. Resolve.
Yeah, show me the part about biometric authentication.
Well, by putting, by specifying my authentication provider, I'm saying that my provider does biometrics. The one that I select for you to use to authenticate me is going to collect biometrics from me. Okay.
Oh, so we can put URLs in JSON documents. Great. This doesn't actually solve the problem.
It does it in a standard way. There's no other way I can tell HoloChain that I want to be authenticated by this biometric authentication server.
Sure there is.
How do I do
There's
it?
been a number of linking standards for pointing to authentication service before this one. This one's no better and quite a bit worse. This distracts from useful solutions.
I don't understand.
Well, look, there's microphone.
I want to do it. Tell me how to do it. I want to do it. I want to specify one authenticator for my bank, another one for HoloChain. I want to
Stop talking and I will.
What?
Microformats.org/rel-me.
Microformats?
Yep. .org. You just type, just hit enter there.
Seems familiar. I don't know why.
Oh, there's no obvious search button. Hit wiki maybe. Actually, if you try to log into this thing, it'll demonstrate it. But in the search button, in the search box, type rel-me, REL-ME. There you go. That's how to do it. So you point from your home page to a OAuth identity provider. And if the OAuth identity provider can do biometric authentication, Bob's your uncle. This is a working specification with community practice around it and all that kind of stuff. It's the simplest thing that could possibly work.
So, how do I get?
On your DID document, that is your home page. You put a link.
Locked. I don't know what this is.
So if you hit the login button on the left,
the login button.
you probably don't have an account. Create an account. No, this is different from what I expected. Usually it was you had to type in your URL or domain name or whatever the heck. This is weird. What's going on? Did they turn off RealMe? Okay, maybe the. Oh, IndieWeb is the one that has it turned on. Yeah, the site that actually uses it is called IndieWeb, INDIEWEB.
IndieWeb.
.org. And if you hit the login button on that one, yeah. So here you type your URL. And then it would go and look at that web page and look for rel equals me and etc.
How do I can't, I don't know how to address the OAuth provider at this point.
Right. It doesn't want the OAuth provider. It wants your web page, the one you control.
Oh, I don't have one. I mean,
So their recommendation for making
the difference between this and DID is that I have to have a web page in order to use this.
well, you just said you were willing to you were willing to publish whatever information you wanted about yourself in the directory, right?
Right.
So how's that different from a web page?
Well, it's, you know, the
Right? It's the same, right?
I guess it is a web page actually, isn't it? But I don't, you know, it's
Yeah, the DID folks want you to think they've got something better than DNS. You don't have anything better than DNS until you've got mobile code and economics and stuff around it, to my mind.
mobile code.
Yeah, for smart contracts. I mean, well, there's also IPFS. You could probably put IPFS there. That's pretty decentralized.
So
If you want to find a community of people that are actually doing decentralized stuff, that's the one. These are the folks. So their standard for identity documents is HCard, which is kind of like vCard mixed in with HTML.
interesting. Now,
Whew.
No, something's.
Yeah, my sense is that each of the blockchains might have something to offer that's better than DNS, but there's nothing that ties them together. Well, I mean, there's nothing yet. The Agoric folks actually do have an architecture for tying them together. But just saying that I can make up random numbers and put JavaScript in the web doesn't solve the problem to me. It doesn't cover an interesting part of the solution space. Yeah, and this stuff doesn't have a lot of security, but its utility comes from the fact that you can schedule a meeting with me. Or send me a message through any number of conventional channels. All right, I should run along. It was good to learn about ISCCs and stuff.
All right. No, thanks much, Dan.
All right. Bye for now.
Thanks. This was good.
See you guys.
Yeah, I had to check out during the DID discussion. I couldn't add anything to that. I don't understand DID anyway, so I need to go study it. But this was an interesting discussion.
Yeah, and I guess I mean the point that it's a replacement for DNS. You know, I should have addressed that. I mean, there's certainly certain security and other problems with DNS. Is one thing. Now, if the micro format specifies much more than the DID directory, why not? Why don't people just use micro format definitions in DIDs? I mean, they can specify the schema that they're using, right? They can specify micro format DID. Get down. What are you doing? Get down.
So look at this Indie. What is this? Indie login or Indie Web? So this shows how to provide links to your existing profile. Be off server. So for instance, if I want to use Twitter, link to your Twitter profile on your home page. Make sure your Twitter account has your I see. You have to have your URL to your home page and your Twitter account, and then in your home page, you've got to have this chunk of code.
Yeah, and what's the proof?
Yeah, well, the proof is, wait a minute, let me go back up here. The proof is yeah, I don't know. I'll have to study this some more.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
Guy. The dogs
Thank
want
you.
to go out, so I will take them out. See you, Guy.